Did more reflecting. I called my mom and I took this massive step back and I just kind of went, when I think back to all the jobs I've ever wanted, all the things I ever wanted to be when I grow up, and I think that's really my recent conflict is I realized I'm all grown up now and I don't know what I want to be. I mean, I know what I want to be, but it's not exactly profitable. In fact, it's not. And that's my problem. My dream job is a philanthropist. My dream job is a healing center and a trauma respite for anyone who just needs to rest along the road. Homeless, anyone who's broken, anyone who just needs to rest or breathe or a little bit of comfort. A respite, a sanctuary in the middle of New York City. That's what I want. But I want in this garden to be taught tools so people can learn how to help their own mental health independent of a therapist. This is really important. I have talked to people about it and I get the response back of, oh my God, you have got to do this. And I say, I know. This is my calling. This is what I was born to do, is to take philosophy, merge it with psychology, and then simplify the concepts for the common man, for the uneducated, for children, so that people hear how it works. People learn about psychology. And it's not scientific legalese. It's common ton, so that you can study psychology yourself, figure out your own problems, and then resolve them without the need of a therapist. It would literally eliminate the current psychological system in our country this today. And that's not going to be popular. And it's going to be very popular. But more importantly, it is some very important work. But it doesn't pay anything. So I'm trying to figure out a way to monetize my dream job in a field that's known for not being profitable. So I'm having to do social media and articles and blogging. And that's what I'm doing right now. It's what I've been doing for the last few weeks, is just getting it out there and showing people, look, this is what's going on. And while I'm doing all of this, the universe gets louder. Like it's saying, this is where you're supposed to be. This is it. This is what you were meant for. This is what I was meant for. So deep down to my truest core, I have to stay here in New York City and see this through. And every time I walk away from it or Juan, every little pore of my body screams, because I belong in New York City doing this with that man in some sort of a ship with me. And I looked at everything I had to do, and I looked at the universe and went, how the hell am I going to feed my daughter? And my universe just smiles at me and says, trust that we will take care of you. Are you insane? So I just push through and I get this information out there. And I'm torn between, I really have to get this out there, and I really need to feed my daughter. I took $5 last night and bought a gallon of milk that's spoiled. And I'm going, oh my God, that was $5. And we have no milk. I am, I feel like Frodo at the end, when he's on the volcano, when he's at Mordor, and he just can't take one more step. And I can see Samwise standing over me going, Can you smell the taste of strawberries? Do you remember the Shire? And I'm going, no, I don't. I just see darkness. I'm naked in the dark. And I know I'm so close. I am so close. If I can just endure it. I'm supposed to welcome the suffering. And I am supposed to just welcome the pain. I should be in a monastery somewhere learning these lessons and applying them to life. Trying to get it done in Brooklyn, New York is I could just go back to Endicott, at least to rest for a while, but I don't trust that my roommate won't completely destroy my shit when I leave. And I'm just stuck. So the only way I have to go right now is forward with the healing garden. And it's going to take whatever time it takes. Right now, I am in a place of suffering. That is where I'm supposed to be. And I'm just going to accept the suffering and go through with it. This is a branch of philosophy practiced by Buddhists. And it is also an advanced form of meditation where you just sit back and observe the suffering and you accept it. Because you know that that suffering is they're growing pains. Suffering is just growing pains. So, I am in desperate need of comfort, and I have been struggling all day to find that. So I'm going to try and do what I can with the healing garden and just put what I know into practice. Which is really hard to do when you can't see the Shire anymore. So I'm just going to do what I know to do. Because that's what I've always done in the cases of an emergency. In 2015, in 2013, it was horrible. My cat died. Tribble, from mouth cancer. She was the only source of love and comfort that I had ever known. Literally. Without her, I would not know what love is. Tribble and I were trauma bonded. We were both beaten together by the same person. She was the one that I always saved when my brother was torturing cats. She and I both ended up with PTSD. And she and I learned very quickly that when we were together, we were safe. Because when we were together, and my brother was not around, neither one of us were being hurt. This made us inseparable and experiencing high anxiety every time we were separated because we associated each other's presence with safety. In turn, Tribble's PTSD led her to permanently pee on the floor. So she had behavioral problems that I forgave, never had a problem with, because she was my war buddy. She was my war buddy. So when she died in 2013 with mouth cancer, I went insane. I went insane. So that in 2015, I was so shut out from the world and so lost that I developed a company called Brain to Books. Brain to Books was a shelter for isolated, reclusive people. That's really what it did. Really, I found people lost to the silence of the writing world. People who were so mentally ill and trapped in some cases that words were their only way out, and I brought them together. The Brain to Books was actually a preliminary to the Healing Garden, and I didn't know it then. Within 5 years, we had the attention of some very reputable businesses, and I was its queen. Brain to Books was a trial run for the Healing Garden. I got to see how to do it, and I know I can do it. I did it already. And I've been fighting it because I'm afraid to fail. Because I'm afraid it will. I'm afraid of a lot of things if this thing works. I'm afraid of being killed for my political opinions. I am afraid that no one will believe me. Every time I show my true self, I was called crazy. And I fought real hard to get my mental health back. And I went, I don't know if I can take that kind of vulnerability where you tell me that I'm crazy. That's really what I'm afraid of. Being invalidated again after all these years. So I haven't been working on the Healing Garden to avoid these feelings. I have social anxiety still, and I struggle going to talk to people. And when somebody wants to be an interviewer for a living, and I'm battling being a shut-in right now because I'm that mentally ill. I haven't been able to get out of bed today. I haven't been able to make coffee or take a shower because I'm nesting again. And that is what I have comfort and pain are on the same spectrum. Pain is just a lack of comfort, a severe lack. It actually falls into discomfort. Suffering is when you are stuck in pain and you can't feel comfort. If I can turn off the suffering through acceptance, you have to accept your suffering. That's what Buddhism teaches. Resistance is suffering. That's what they were saying. In meditation, it's the belief that resistance, lack of acceptance to change is what causes suffering. Which means in order to fix my problem, I have to accept it. And that's really what I'm fighting against. I am trying to accept my truth, and I'm down to the last bits of it. After all the work I've done, I'm finally at the point where I'm ready to see my real truth and accept it for what it is. That I was a slave for 40 years in a silent slave system. That I escaped 2 years ago and have been fighting and correcting my mental health for 2 years straight, just so I can change my perspective enough to see the world as it needs to be seen, so I can see the solutions, and I see the solutions. But we can't change what we don't acknowledge, that there is a secret embedded slave system inside our culture that is doing this to us. And that I am the first one out with the message to say, women, we're slaves. Come out. I can prove it to you. And they're not going to like it. And you're not going to like it, because that means that if you confront your owner, you will be beaten. So how do you reach help knowing you're enslaved and you're trapped? I'm going to create a system, and I'm going to give it to you. All I can tell you is I need to put together a program that you can privately and quietly get to, so I can start teaching you how to get out of your traumatic system while you are in it, and to do so safely. I am going to put together a system on my end so that if you need help, you can reach out to the Healing Garden, and we will make the arrangements for you in secret, because we understand your situation. We're going to have to extract you. And when we do, we're going to need a place to put you. And I want everyone to come to the Healing Garden. That's what I want. There are a lot of battered women who want out but don't know how to break the cycle. I do. I did it on my own. You don't have to do it alone. I can teach you how to break psychological entrapment using dialectical behavioral therapy. I can teach you. It's how I did it. By implementing philosophy and by learning some very basic thinking techniques, you will be able to get out. And I will have a department that is designed just to extract you from an abusive situation. I'm going to design a program within the Healing Garden so that people like me who are mentally trapped, who need something to reach onto because they are too far away from a therapist's voice, I'm going to go in and get you. I know how to do it. I had to grow up inside of it to know exactly how to outsmart it. I know the way around the system. Yeah. I'm going to put a few things out there, and I'll implement it with my goddess training. And I will teach women how to stop being a battered housewife and start seeing their perspective. And the best thing is, you don't have to be battered to use these techniques. You can be anybody who just wants to become aware, so that there's a proper technique that you use. And then I can show you how to insert that into the comments made of a narcissist, so you can start seeing and becoming aware that you are owned. Once you do that, you're going to have a flood of emotions. I can walk you through them. I just need to talk and tell my story. You know, that's what they keep telling me. All my alters, they've been screaming in my head for 6 months now. August, they all just started screaming, tell your story. Tell your story. And I'm going, what do you want me to tell? Like what can I do for you? got to figure out how to get motivation when you are so stamped down with depression. That's the next thing I'm studying. Because today is a really hard day for me. All right. You know, I think that's why I wanted to invent the healing garden, was because I needed a job that I could do that would be compatible with my mental illness. Thank you.